and welcome to another episode of Gaming the System with me, Jem, and Alex and Matt. And we are going to be talking today about yes, I can. Matt's just sent me a message. Very distracting. So we're going to be talking today about presents because we are in the run up to the festive period. And so there is gift giving going on over the next few weeks. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about gaming presents and our experience of that. So first question I want to ask you about is what was the worst gift that you ever received in your life? It doesn't have to be gaming related, just a warm-up question. And we're going to start with Matt, I think.
So I don't know whether this is just a male phenomenon for the grandchildren of grandparents. Even though it's sent with all the love in the world, the male grooming kit with deodorant and shower gel and socks, and it just is soul destroying. And I don't know if there's an equivalent for granddaughters. Is there anything like
that? Yeah, definitely a thing. Yeah.
What is it for?
Definitely a thing.
Granddaughters.
Usually shower gel and body spray.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Bath bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just it's just flat and unimaginative, even though it's done
one of
with
those
the
gifts,
best of love.
Yeah, it's one of those gifts, isn't it, that people give to you when they don't know quite what to give to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Well, a gift that they could have is our Patreon page. Patreon.com/gaming the system. You can sign up and support us doing our podcast going into 2023.
Yes. Well, let me share with you my worst gift. Very different from what Matt's just described. It was a crystal Barbie.
Wow.
But it wasn't the crystal Barbie. That was a cool gift. That's what I wanted. It was but unfortunately I was gifted two of them. I'd obviously complained about it so much and demanded it so much that I had two of them. So I had two of these Barbies in these revolting dresses that just felt so acrylic. And and actually I do still have one of the dresses, I think, hanging about, which I just kept over the years because, with two you got plenty. But I was quite disappointed to receive two. I think I was like 5 at the time or something. And I did actually have another one which was not my finest moment, but I was quite young in my defense, and I really, really wanted a baby doll, which is weird because I'm not really a baby doll person, and I don't think I ever was, even as a child. I didn't really play with it very much, but I really wanted this baby doll. It was when there was adverts all over the TV for them. And when on Christmas Day we were unwrapping our presents, and I got this box which has this rocker in it, and I had the biggest meltdown because I didn't want the rocker. I wanted the baby doll. And my parents were saying things like, well, you've got your other cuddly toys, you can just put them in it and rock it. And they were doing all this stuff. And of course, I opened the box and the baby doll was in the rocker. in the box, and then they had bought it for me, and then they put them in together. But I hadn't got that far before I had the biggest bit. And I think I know that I was quite young, and yet I remember it so vividly. And it was one of those things, one of those learning experiences where I learned that, you know, just hold back a little bit before you go off on one. Because I did, even though I was so little, I do remember feeling really ashamed of how badly I had behaved and how like cross I had got about this doll, which I played with for about 5 minutes, and then, but I do still have the rocker actually.
Wow.
Weirdly. So Alex.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention like sort of a lesson being learned, because I suppose I was going to talk about not necessarily a particular, well, it is a particular gift, but not so much the worst gift I've gotten in terms of my personal ranking of gifts, but like the worst received in terms of my ability to use and enjoy it, because it was a Tamagotchi, and I made the fatal mistake of assuming that if I left it under a pile of newspapers for 5 hours, it wouldn't die, and it would be fine. And it died, and I'd only had it for like 2 days. And so my parents were not impressed with me and said that they would beseech me to learn to look after things a little bit better in future, and properly care for my Tamagotchi animal, which there were none of because it died, obviously, underneath all the newspapers I'd left it. Sadly, it was a dinosaur of some sort. I was very disappointed that, because of course, naturally, being a game, you would assume that it wouldn't just die forever, but it did. And yeah, it was quite a moment.
That's the old school ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping this isn't a portent, because I might have got one for my daughter.
But yes, that was definitely a lesson learned from the parents and from myself, to pay attention to the lifespan of your gift and to make use of it while you know it's alive, if that makes sense.
Did either of you at school do the flower baby exercise?
What's that?
I've heard of it. I didn't do it, but I have heard of it.
Basically, you get split into pairs and you get given a bag of flour, and you design it, you paint it so it looks like a child.
Oh.
And then between the two of you, you have to look after it for a week.
Wow, no, I have no idea what that is. That sounds really weird.
Yeah, teach you how difficult it is having a baby.
I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, so just one of those things. Looking back, you think, what are they? How was that in the curriculum?
Yeah.
And we had to sing. We sang hymns in the morning. We sang Christian hymns.
Yeah.
How fucked is that?
I think they still do in some schools. But
yeah, no, I definitely remember doing it in primary school at least. Yeah. But no, I never had a bag of flour, a baby flour. No. Very odd.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? The baby dolls are so gendered, but it's really nice these days to see that there are more diverse. There's a lot more diversity in the sorts of dolls that you can buy, and there are also plenty of places nowadays that are actually advertising them with little boys playing with them, just as you know, little girls are. So it's nice to see that we're making some progress in those areas. Did you have anything else to add about awful childhood gifts?
Just like the some gifts really age terribly. Like they're like, you know, there's a point up to, say, a cathedral built 500 years ago. They look stunning and extraordinary and timeless.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a point in sort of like the last 50, 60 years where the architecture, the general architecture, became just horrifying, bleak, awful shit that has aged terribly, and now it's starting to be built a little bit better again. There's that solid 50-year period where everything made in it has aged terribly, and is dolls in particular and baby things.
You're just traumatized by Crystal Barbie, aren't you?
Yeah, it's dolls.
Yeah.
Anything technological or doll based just makes me go, oh.
But isn't that good? Because isn't that a sign of how things have moved, how we have moved on, that we look at these things and, just kind of shudder because they are so dated. Like the Crystal Barbie, for example. I mean, not only was it a very sort of 80s style dress, but, there's so many issues with that generation of Barbies that, but again, they have been working on that over the last sort of decade, and we are in a different place, I think. So I suppose we can maybe see some positive in that we that we look at these things in horror.
It's such an alien journey for me as a bloke to imagine, because the part, so as inevitably we end up talking about childhood stuff when we talk about Christmas, and that childhood experience of things that we learn that we want is completely different. So the idea of being really excited about something like a doll, or because that's such the archetypal thing that young girls are supposed to want. That how that has changed over time. And so how does your daughter, you say she doesn't want anything, like things that she has been excited about that she didn't realize she was excited about, compared to what you wanted when you were younger?
She got hugely excited about a wooden stable and some horses that my mum gifted to her, and I wasn't expecting her to really care about it because they were so they were natural colors, and there wasn't anything that they did. They were just to play with, and she was really thrilled with that. But she didn't play with it, but she was really thrilled with it on the day. She's always been super thrilled with anything that's cuddly. Anything that's cuddly and gaming stuff. So well, I was going to say what was the best gift. So this is a good segue for me. But in our family, one of the best gifts, or the best gift, I think, was the Switch, because we have had so much enjoyment out of that thing, and you can chuck it in a suitcase and bring it on holiday, and you can take it on a day trip, and it's just so versatile, and you can play with other people. There's always, all the games are so user friendly. But when we got the Switch, we gifted it to ourselves as a family gift, and we did not gift it to my daughter, although in a lot of ways it was primarily for her, although I think I play on it most now. But because we wanted it to not belong to any one person, we wanted it to be everyone's thing. And she really loved the Switch. But if it had been hers, I think it might have gone away and then just stayed in, not being used, because she's just very, whatever she happens to like now, that's the thing she likes, and everything else gets thrown to one side. So I've wanted her to really love, I got her one of those digital cameras, little, like the kiddie digital cameras, which I thought she would love, but she didn't. But then there were other things where you get them, and on Christmas Day, they are met with sort of lukewarm interest, and then 6 months down the line, they get dragged out of a box, and suddenly they become the favorite thing. So I think there's also a thing that I try with my gifting to buy to gift mindfully and to buy things that will have a long life, so that they will stand the test of time, so that even if they're not needed now or they're not used now, they will sit there and be okay to be picked up in 6 months, a year, 2 years time. And we have definitely had things like that where I'm like, oh gosh, we got that so long ago. And then it's like suddenly it's the favorite thing. And I think so. I think there's a sort of a lot of thought has to be put into gifting for that, with that in mind, I think. What about you, Alex? What's your best gift?
It's a really good question. It's a hard one. It's a hard one because obviously they're all different every year because it depends on what you're most looking forward to. I think from childhood, probably one of the best gaming gifts we got was probably the PS2, because that was kind of like a groundbreaking moment where games suddenly went up this massive leap in quality. And suddenly I could play it a lot more, and I was right at the perfect age to start playing a lot more because I was just hitting my teens. So yeah, in terms of gaming gifts, that's probably one of the best ones, definitely. And I've already mentioned it, I think, in the previous episode about the Christmas where everyone got involved in World Rally Championship too, even my grandma, which was quite a fun Christmas. But yeah, it kind of became tradition since that Christmas that whatever game I or sometimes my sister would get, but mainly me, it would be the Christmas Day activity until Christmas lunch, and then after, and then Boxing Day. But obviously we have other games that we do at Christmas as well, like traditional family games and other types of games like bagatelle and things like that. But yeah, it kind of became a unwritten tradition that the time between present opening and eating would be time for whatever new game there was on the latest PlayStation, and everyone would sort of sit around and watch, which is quite nice if they weren't cooking. But yeah, that's very much a childhood Christmas tradition time. It'll be different this year, of course. Yeah.
Did you want to talk about this at all?
Yes, I would. Yes. No, that is definitely very reminiscent of my childhood. As fans of the pod will know, I'm a massive Tomb Raider fan, and I've been well into Tomb Raider and Lara Croft since about the age of 6. That figurine there, you can see Lara in the jungle with the tiger above her, was one of the little figurines I had on my windowsill for many years, pretty much since around probably the age of 8 or 10, I would say. I think it was from Tomb Raider 3, that one. And there's also one of her on a motorbike as well, with her guns out and things. So I had the two of them sort of side to side on my windowsill. It was a nice little reminder of Lara. Yeah, it's a little bit blurry, sorry for the image quality, but you could like prop the bike up so she was doing a wheelie, and it was all very cool and action focused, which was awesome. It just gave a sense of like how badass of a character Lara was and is, or at least classic Lara was. But yeah, no, it was definitely a kind of constant presence in my childhood bedroom, having those there, and that's definitely one of the best games you can get for a gamer, is a kind of figurine or something they can display that shows their love of their favorite game or their favorite character. Definitely.
So Matt, what about you? What was your best ever gift?
I feel like the best, my best gift recently, the most like standout one was my dad bought me a ticket to go and see an NFL game in London in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
and that was just quite an experience. That's something that because it's quite expensive, the tickets are expensive, I would have probably not done it. I wouldn't have done it this year, and I would have gone, oh, I'll do that at some point, because I've fallen in love with the NFL over the last year or so. And I was watching it and going, oh, I wonder what it would be like to go to a game, and thinking, oh, it'd probably be awesome. And I went, and it was okay. It was a bit disappointing for several reasons, but it was an invaluable experience, because now I know that going to them live isn't for me. So from now on, I can go, I am watching it the best way that I can.
Yeah.
I'm not missing anything by having not gone. So that's an experience. I think the best kind of gifts are ones that are just like the Switch, things that slot without pressure into everyday life, that they can sort of just blend in, and it's not about. So often, a lot of ego comes along with giving presents, thinking the person giving the present needs to go, oh, you need to love this doll because it's brilliant, and it's making it about them. But anything that adds sort of timeless value without pressure, I think those are the best kind of gifts.
I think experiences are so valuable, because memories, positive memories and positive experiences, well, even ones that, like, the NFL game wasn't necessarily what you had hoped it would be, but as you said, it now means that you can just go, I don't need to go and see the games, because actually I enjoy it better watching it on telly, and that is really valuable. I think those things they are the things that stay with you and keep you warm when things are challenging. They're the ones that you can go back to and go, like, oh, I did this thing. And I think as you get older and you get more things, and as we move into a more mindful, I know, I'm sorry, I'm just going to bang on about this, but a more mindful gift giving process, because of the environment, because of the cost of living crisis, because of being aware of the moral issues attached to everything that we buy, and the capitalist mechanics behind all of that, and all of those things. As we factor all that in, suddenly the sorts of gifts that you give are more about giving time and spending time and making memories, to coin a very cliche term, but also like putting effort, effort into gifts, making gifts, and all of that. So I think there's a whole, I feel like, although things are quite challenging at the moment, I think, in our world, and I think are currently looking at a lot of difficult things and a very difficult few years ahead. I think I hope that some of the positives that will come out of that will be a sort of greater appreciation of real value is in gifts. It's like, and I think that's something that I hope people will take forward. And we hope everyone has a happy and healthy festive period, and we will see you in the new year. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and give us 5 stars, and also check out our Patreon account.
Yes, please.
And we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.